I'm Joan Lunden. Welcome to DirecTV Hometown Heroes, a show about our subscribers from all over the country who perform extraordinary acts of kindness and courage every day. Tonight, you'll meet a Kentucky man who left his life behind to help victims of Hurricane Katrina.
We were feeding anybody who was hungry.
A North Carolina teenager who joined forces with a businessman to fight disease.
We both have a passion for finding a cure.
And the Southern California volunteers who take homeless children from the streets to the classroom.
The only way out of poverty is through education.
This is DirecTV Hometown Heroes.
People get ready, there's a train coming, picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is faith to hear that diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you just get on board.
Our show begins tonight with a tale of selfless dedication. Long after Hurricane Katrina, most volunteers have moved on. But correspondent Grant Goodeve has the story of one exceptional man who went to the Gulf Coast to lend a helping hand and still hasn't left.
When Hurricane Katrina ripped through the Gulf Coast in the summer of 2005, Greg Porter was watching TV at home in Penrod, Kentucky. Seeing the devastation, he had an unexpected revelation.
I was sitting on the couch with my wife watching the people suffering, and she looked over at me and I had tears running down my face, and she said, "You're going to go, aren't you?" And I said, "I have to."
Greg owned a successful parking lot maintenance business in Kentucky. He didn't know how he could help hurricane victims, but a friend from church pointed him in the right direction.
He said what they really need is someone to come down and cook meals for the volunteers.
That very night, with his wife's blessing, Greg loaded up his grill and joined a small group of church volunteers, driving almost 600 miles to coastal Mississippi.
That's when we really started seeing the devastation. The debris and the houses and stuff were just plowed like snow piled alongside the road.
When Greg's caravan reached Highway 90 at the Gulf Coast, it was time to stop and set up a makeshift kitchen.
We pulled out our grills and our stove and our burners and put them on the concrete slab. That's where we started cooking.
Greg expected to just cook hamburgers for a group of 30 volunteer church workers. But without power or drinkable water anywhere in sight, 30 soon turned to 300 and more.
We were feeding the highway workers, police, the military, anybody who was hungry. Actually, we had some of the local people tell us they followed their nose to get here because they could smell the hamburgers cooking.
Greg planned to volunteer for only a couple of weeks, but fate had other plans for him.
I realized real quick after like the second day that we was all out on our own and there was no one coming after us to replace us. So then it became, how long are you going to stay type question, and all I could say was, I guess as long as I'm needed.
A month after Katrina, Hurricane Rita drove many volunteers out of the area, but Greg knew he couldn't leave now.
I sat there and watched the labels literally blow off the cans of food.
When the winds finally died down, Greg moved his ever-growing operation, by now feeding more than 1,000 people a day, to an abandoned lot in Pass Christian, Mississippi.
Pork chops.
There, he welcomed some much-needed and colorful local help.
There's only one hen rooster in the kitchen, and so I realized he's the hen rooster, and I'm just glad to be a part.
Wayman Scarberry, a former restaurant owner known to his friends as Mo Sugar, came on board to help Greg with the cooking.
We fed all God's creatures, including mosquitoes.
What are you making here?
We're making baked beans.
By this time, Greg was overseeing a small army of church-based relief workers operating out of an enormous tent city. They started calling their massive effort God's Katrina Kitchen.
There was times when we would have 300 to 400 volunteers staying with us and around us. There was things we would need, and it would just pull up in the parking lot, and you never knew where it come from.
That's why we said God's Katrina Kitchen, because everything we needed, it just showed up.
God's Katrina Kitchen also served as a distribution center for donated goods flowing in from churches all over the country.
We had 400 households come through there a day, locals coming in for food and for supplies.
Yet even after serving tens of thousands of meals to the hungry, Greg longed to do more for Gulf Coast homeowners who'd lost everything. Homeowners like Christine Maurice, who after Katrina had blown through was living in a FEMA trailer, unable to afford repairs on her water-damaged home.
You're sitting there and everything that you got is totally just rotting and mewing away. And I would just sit in the trailer and look out the window and cry.
Then Greg and his crew of volunteers stepped in to lend a hand.
They were from God's Katrina's Kitchen, and they just came in and they just kind of took over my life and made me realize that there was hope. And that's what I think most of us lost on this coast, is hope first.
Today, Christine has renewed hope for a better life.
How are you?
Now that Greg and his crew have completely rebuilt her home inside and out.
They are heroes, and they're going to be long-term heroes in my eyes. And, you know, I love them, and I love what they've done for me.
We rebuilt over a dozen houses, and we've got that many more really near completion.
But despite working around the clock, Greg hasn't been able to repair everything destroyed by Katrina's devastating aftermath.
It can get emotional.
Today, he's going to see Alvin Bang, a man who lost his home to the hurricane and then his wife to suicide.
She just couldn't handle it, you know. You wonder, you know, how you gonna get through the day, you know, but you just keep moving one step at a time. Good to see you. How are you doing?
When Greg heard Alvin's story, he and his volunteers bought Alvin a storm-damaged trailer and fixed it up like brand new. Alvin still can't believe what Greg has done for him.
Y'all been such a blessing to me. I mean, it's so much. I think of the things that y'all have done, and it just tears me up.
It would have been great if we could have got here sooner. We work on cases as quick as we can with the people and the finances we have, you know, so just wish we could have got to theirs quicker. If his wife had gotten out of that trailer a little earlier, she might be here with him.
Greg admits that stories like Alvin's are difficult for him, but they're also what drive him to keep going. Cooking, building, doing whatever is necessary to help the people of the Gulf Coast reclaim their lives.
There's 30,000 families still in FEMA trailers in the state of Mississippi. They have no way of getting out of those trailers if people don't come down and help them.
These days, Greg continues to feed locals and volunteers and serve the community whatever way he can.
Oh my gosh, that's too much. You guys are crazy.
There's no shortage of appreciation from the people he's helped or those who've given their lives to work alongside him.
He's very compassionate. His heart is bigger than the world.
Hey, Mo Sugar, who can eat here? Who we feeding here? Who can eat here?
Anybody.
Anybody?
He is my ultimate hero. You know? And I've told him many times that when he meets the Maker, God would tell him, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
2 years after he arrived in storm-torn Mississippi with just a charcoal grill and a desire to help, Greg says that though his journey started with no clear direction, he now knows that he was destined to come here all along.
I don't think there's an end to this job. I'll go wherever I'm needed. You know, I really seriously just feel honored to have been able to be a part of it. Because I really do feel like, you know, there might have been people who were supposed to be here instead of me, and they just didn't load up and come. So I really feel like it's been my honor to be a part of it.
Since we shot this story, Chef Greg and his team have formed an emergency response unit that stands ready to help out wherever it's needed. For his tireless commitment to helping the victims of Hurricane Katrina, we're proud to call Greg Porter a DirecTV hometown hero.
There he is.
Coming up next, two unlikely friends, both devoted to finding a cure.
I love you, man.
DirecTV Hometown Heroes will be right back. Welcome back. It's nearly everyone's greatest fear. You're diagnosed with an incurable disease. What do you do? Well, as correspondent Mark Istuk found out, if you're like the subjects of our next story, you devote your life to helping others.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Every Labor Day, thousands gather here for the annual Jerry Lewis Telethon.
And now, please welcome the National Chairman of the Muscular Dystrophy Association, Jerry Lewis.
Thank you so much.
Waiting in the wings are Augie Nieto and Luke Christie, two remarkable friends who refine the notion of giving back.
Hey, Luke.
Though 35 years apart in age, Augie and Luke couldn't be more devoted to their cause or more devoted to each other.
Both of their faces light up when they come in contact with each other, and it's a true kinship, or almost like soulmates.
Augie and I are bonded because we both have a passion for finding a cure.
Just 2 short years ago, Augie Nieto's life was nothing less than perfect. He had a gorgeous wife, 4 healthy children, a breathtaking seaside mansion, and a multi-million-dollar-a-year business.
I started Life Fitness when I was in college. The fitness industry wasn't geared towards normal people who aren't athletes to train and to recognize that exercise is an important part of our daily life.
For Augie, fitness wasn't just his business. It was the passion driving everything he did.
Augie, almost to a fault, would work out an hour every day. And if, for whatever reason, he missed a day, he would make the full hour up the next day.
Then, at age 47, everything changed. Though he was working out as usual, Augie noticed he was getting weaker.
I started to watch some muscle twitches in my right bicep and then across my chest a little bit.
In March of 2005, doctors told Augie he had ALS, a degenerative muscle condition known as Lou Gehrig's disease. They told him he had 5 years to live, and during that time, he'd slowly lose all motor function.
What was your response?
Well, I mean, it was the lowest point in my life.
But Augie had never been the type of man to wait around to die.
We have isolated genes.
He created Augie's Quest, an organization dedicated to finding a cure for ALS. Then he joined forces with the Muscular Dystrophy Association, which battles diseases of the nervous system, to gain access to their network of top-level researchers. It was through the MDA that Augie met a teenager who would change the path of his life.
He is remarkable. He has an incredible sense of humor. Luke!
This is Luke Christie, a 14-year-old MBA Goodwill ambassador. He makes countless public appearances to help raise money for the MDA.
It puts a name and a face with the cause.
Unlike Augie, Luke never knew anything but a wheelchair.
I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy when I was about 14 months old. I've never been able to walk. My disease is progressive. Fortunately for me, it's been very slow.
But despite the everyday hardships of his condition, Luke lives his life with an extraordinary spirit.
What's up?
He's just full of joy and ready to take on the world, and he's not going to let this disease get in the way of that.
When Augie first met Luke at an MDA function in 2006, the two hit it off immediately. But Luke could see that Augie was struggling with his condition.
The first thing to go with Augie was his arms and his hands. He can barely lift them up to here now. He said, I can't do this anymore. It's tragic. It's horrible. What am I going to do with myself?
That's when the younger taught Augie a life-changing lesson.
What I taught Augie is that there's just so many things that you still can do. Why mourn what you can't do?
What was it about Luke that helped change your perspective?
It made me feel better about myself. And Luke showed me that it was good to laugh.
Whenever they attend events together, this unlikely duo enjoys keeping the mood upbeat. They even wrote a top 10 list explaining the unexpected benefits of their illnesses.
I was able to drive at age 2.
I never have to pay for a meal because I can't reach for my wallet.
What's great about Augie, what's great about Luke is they're like, hey, I mean, we're just people. We're just peeps like you. And all of a sudden, it makes people a little more comfortable to talk about it.
Bolstered by Luke's positive attitude, Augie's fundraising has gone into overdrive. In just 2 years, he has already raised $10 million toward finding a cure for ALS.
There he is. That's Augie.
And his tireless efforts even inspired a man who's seen it all.
I thank you for this, but more than anything at all, I thank you for making me demand more courage of myself.
Then, as Augie proudly looked on, Luke completed his 2-year run as MDA Goodwill Ambassador.
I, for one, Luke, will miss you a lot.
Thank you so much, Jerry.
Okay.
Today, Luke has returned to his home in Due West, South Carolina. He and Augie stay in touch via email, providing support and encouragement whenever it's needed.
We share a mentality of fighting and never giving up, and we carry that with us each and every day.
Augie and Lynn are back at their home in Corona Del Mar, living in the moment and focusing on the little things that matter.
Now it's just enjoying the day. Find some humor and laugh and cry and love each other and take care of each other.
For his part, Augie says that his quest to cure ALS has taught him something he never learned running a marathon or running a business.
I didn't understand the power of helping others. The more I give, the more I receive.
That sentiment is echoed by Luke. He never knew the Augie who existed before ALS, but he says that whatever Augie might have lost due to disease, what he's gained and what he's given to others is beyond measure.
This Augie may not be able to stand or walk or high-five anybody, but he's got the heart. He's got the heart. Takes people like me in and he doesn't let them out.
2 unlikely friends, 2 unconventional heroes, a friendship that transcends all barriers of age, fate, and circumstance.
I love you, man.
I love you.
Augie Nieto's courage and service to others has earned him the title of DirecTV Hometown Hero. Next, changing the lives of homeless children
Best tutor ever.
1 hour at a time. You're watching DirecTV Hometown Heroes. Our final story offers a ray of hope for a difficult problem. According to some estimates, there are nearly 250,000 homeless children in Southern California. We met some inspiring people who helped these youngsters go from life on the streets to excelling in the classroom. Los Angeles, California. Millions move here for the great weather and the beautiful homes. But life in Southern California comes at a steep price, a price not everyone can afford. Thousands end up here, on the streets of downtown LA. And when entire families fall on hard times, the children also join the ranks of the homeless.
In Southern California, it's estimated there are 200,000 homeless children.
How do these children go from living on the streets to getting an education? That's where School on Wheels comes in. It's a volunteer tutoring service for homeless kids that former school teacher Agnes Stevens founded in 1993.
The mission of School on Wheels is to give educational help to children kindergarten through 12th grade of homeless families.
Sinead Chilton started as a School on Wheels volunteer tutor. Now she's the group's communications coordinator and a tireless worker. She says the way they help the community is unique.
School on Wheels is the only organisation that's offering this service to homeless children, that's zooming in and focusing on the need for the children to succeed at school.
Life.
Good. School on Wheels does this by giving homeless children one-on-one tutoring every week. It also helps children by enrolling them in school as quickly as possible, no matter where they're living, and giving them all the free school supplies they need.
Thanks, Janet, that's great.
Kids like 8-year-old Sierra Shannon need all the help that School on Wheels volunteers can give.
She was pretty scarred by her experiences in life so far. We have to try something harder.
Volunteer Catherine Meek began working with Sierra 1 hour a week.
Each cottage?
That's it. When I first started tutoring her, she was very, very behind in just about every subject that I started with her. And now she is in the top 10% of her class.
Good work.
Sinead Chilton says that for children like Sierra, School on Wheels is truly a lifeline.
By having a School on Wheels tutor, they have a chance because they have a positive adult in their life.
The kite string.
School on Wheels student Tabitha Mazel and her mom, Jennifer Long, have been living in this Ventura County Salvation Army shelter for over a year.
So show me what you got going on here.
With help from School on Wheels tutor Carrie Glenn, Tabitha's studies have shown significant improvement.
We've really focused on her reading. That was an issue that both her Tabitha and her mom identified. I think you know that one.
She's awesome. She's an awesome person, and Tabitha loves her.
Best tutor ever.
Aww.
Over time, School on Wheels tutors and their students become extremely close.
It starts as an hour a week, but it ends up going for an ice cream on a Saturday afternoon. I remember taking one of my first students to the movies because he'd never actually been to the movie theatre before.
That's it, you're doing it.
School on Wheels continues to grow. Last year alone, the program helped change the lives of over 1,500 homeless children in Southern California.
I've seen success stories. I've seen kids that have moved into permanent housing. They're keeping in touch with School on Wheels, and they understand the importance of school.
And it's all thanks to an organization founded 15 years ago to build lives of possibility for homeless children.
We know that the only way out of poverty is through education, and we want this generation to be the generation that makes it out.
For founder Agnes Stevens, the real heroes in the School on Wheels story are the children, full of determination, courage, and hope.
A hero is somebody that does something extraordinary. They do something extraordinary every single day of their lives, every single moment of their lives. That's why they're the heroes.
School on Wheels has now established a college tuition scholarship fund to help their students continue their education. For her work on behalf of homeless children, Sinead Chilton is a DirecTV hometown hero. The inspirational stories you've just seen show how DirecTV subscribers are changing lives in their communities. These unsung heroes show us all how we can make a difference. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on DirecTV Hometown Heroes. Until then, I'm Joan Lunden. For more information on these stories and how to get involved, go to directtv.com/heroes.
People get ready, there's a train coming, picking up passengers from coast to coast. All you need is faith to hear that diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you just get on board.